Hello and welcome to Please Me. Last week, Eve interviewed sacred sexuality expert Satya Leela for an eye-opening discussion about pleasure for our most popular episode this season. Be sure to go back and listen. This podcast is intended for mature audiences. Eve is a licensed sexual health physical therapist on a mission to destigmatize conversations about sex. Please sit back and surrender to the pleasure of Please Me. Who's looking for a sexy date? STC.com is the premier ethically non-monogamous dating site that also houses a wealth of information regarding sexuality and sexual health. Join the Please Me Health Collective on STC.com and listen to Eve's free live webinars. Use code 37340 for a free trial membership. Maybe you are in the market for some sexy toys to add some spice to the bedroom. Check out the Organic Lovin' link for the best online store for sex toys, lubes, and more.
Maybe after hearing what I had to tell you, you will spend more time with your dreams and get to the end that you want.
I will definitely be taking your tips and tricks and working on that, because there's nothing more frustrating than waking up from a sexy dream when you haven't reached your climax, and I definitely want to have one in my lifetime. So that's a hashtag goal right there. Are you suffering from erectile dysfunction in silence? Are you embarrassed by premature ejaculation? Is it hard to get an erection that is long enough for penetration, or that lasts long enough to satisfy your partner and yourself? Just know that you are not alone, and that 20% of men suffer from erectile dysfunction in their 20s, and it goes up 10% per decade. So 50% of men in their 50s will have some form of erectile dysfunction. My name is Eve Hall, a licensed physical therapist who treats conditions such as erectile dysfunction and other sexual health conditions. I'm here to tell you that there is a solution to erectile dysfunction, and I offer the gold standard in my practice called Inspire Health Physical Therapy and Wellness. I have a full protocol to get your sexy back, so know that I am here to help. Just know that there is no shame in having any sexual health condition, including erectile dysfunction. If that is you, be sure to reach me on SDC.com and leave me a message there, or reach me on pleaseme.online to listen to my podcasts, or to leave me a message and book an appointment today. Hello and welcome to Please Me, the podcast that aims to destigmatize conversations about sex by turning the sheets into our classroom. Today, I am so excited to welcome Debbie Spector Weisman to the show. She is a dream coach, and she talks about how dreams can transform our lives. And she has her own personal story about a dream transformation. And I would love to bring her on and welcome her to the show, first of all, and hear all about her dream that transformed her life. So welcome to the show, Debbie. How are you today?
I am fantastic, Eve, and excited to be here.
Great. I'm so happy that you're here. And I want to know all about the dream that transformed your life.
I'll try and make it as brief as possible. Otherwise, we
Okay.
could for about an hour talking about it. It's very strange because it wasn't one of these super elaborate dreams that went on and on. And it wasn't even this fantastic image I saw. In fact, it wasn't even an image at all. It was one word. But this is why it transformed me. And I'll explain it. First of all, before I had this dream, and for most of my life, I was very quiet and very shy and didn't speak up unless people spoke to me directly and didn't volunteer anything about me, which didn't mean that my life was bad or horrible or anything like that. I had a perfectly fine life. I was a writer. I was a partner with my husband in a film post-production company, obviously married, had 2 kids, the whole works. Life wasn't bad, but I felt that there was something about being that quiet that it wasn't really showing the world who I was. This dream, like I said, was one word, and the word was codpiece. Now,
Okay.
I don't know if you know what the word codpiece is. I sure didn't know what it meant when I had the dream, but it was so unusual. And at the time, I was studying dream work and so knew that dreams were important and I should pay attention to it. So I had to pay attention to this word. figure out why in the world was I having a dream about it. A codpiece, for those who don't know, was a garment that men in the Middle Ages wore. It was either made from leather or metal, and it was used to protect the genital area. And then in modern times, meaning like in the 1980s, a lot of heavy metal rockers used codpieces as like part of their costume, also, thing that they were doing.
Okay.
The first thing I had to figure out was, why am I having this dream about a codpiece? I wasn't particularly a student of medieval history, although I love history and I like heavy metal music. I wasn't a huge fan, so it didn't really relate to that. It had to be something else. Had to think about it, figure out that what a codpiece was to me was this hard object that was used to keep something precious. In the men's cases, it was to keep their genital areas safe and secure. I was using the codpiece to keep me safe and secure. But I realized that if I didn't want to live that way, I had to break out of the codpiece. And
Wow.
it would seem like that would be such an obvious thing, but that's the thing about our subconscious. It hides the obvious from us. But having that dream in hand, I worked to transform myself from that quiet person to the person today. Just as an example, I never in the world would be speaking to you now if I hadn't had that dream.
Wow, that's so interesting. And codpiece, not even a word that you knew what it was. You had to look up the definition, right? But somehow it came to you in a dream. And that's very amazing to me. So that particular dream, it reignited your writing career, right? Is that
That dream plus going back and discovering dream work in and of itself.
okay?
At the time I had the dream, I was in a program that eventually got me certified as a dream life coach. Although at the time I started the program, I wasn't thinking I was going to go in that direction. But the dream also cemented the idea in me that if I can make this kind of a difference in my life, I have to show other people how dreams can make a difference in their lives. So that's what spurred me on. In what I like to call what I'm doing now, dream work, my third career. In my
Okay.
first career, I was a published writer. I wrote 21 young adult novels many years ago. And then I burnt out and didn't write anything for 25 years. And
Wow.
what DreamWork did was it reignited my desire to write. And one of the things that was an outgrowth of this program was the first book I wrote after rediscovering DreamWork, which is a book called 101 Dream Dates: How to Say I Love You to the Most Important Person in Your Life, You, which I now have as a free download on my website for anybody who's interested in it. And this got me back into writing. And since then, I've either written or I've been a contributing writer to 9 other books. And so that's another power of dreams, is that it gets you back in touch with yourself. And it made me realize that, yes, I can write, I'm good at it, and I deserve to have my work shown.
I love that. And it was about self love, which we talk about a lot on this podcast, and really accepting yourself and trying to be the best version of you. And so dreams helped you along that way. And one of the books that you were a contributor of was The Chicken Soup for the Soul: Dreams and Premonitions. And I would love for you to get into the difference between what a dream and a premonition is.
Dreams can be run the gamut of anything that happens, in your mind while you're sleeping. It could be just a very basic level, just a dream about what you did the day before, or a dream about some story that will give you insights into a problem or a situation you're dealing with right now. Or it'll be a fanciful dream that will take you to areas you've never imagined and help spur your imagination and opens yourself up to the idea that there are possibilities other than what you're doing right now that are out there if you open up your eyes to see them. The dreams could be so many different things. I mean, like you go on and on about all the different things the dreams can be. A premonition is a sense that something is going to happen, be something that's going to happen that day, a week from now, a year from now, years from now. Sometimes you get a very specific idea of what it is. Sometimes you don't. An example of this would be a person who has a dream that she's driving in a car and she gets rammed by a truck in an intersection. But the person's having the dream that just seems like a horrible dream, but it has happened to somebody and she took it to heart. And about a couple of weeks later, she finds herself at an intersection and she sees a truck approaching. And even though she had the right of way, because she had that dream, she stopped. And what happened was the truck ran the red light. So having that premonition saved her life.
Wow.
Yeah.
So paying really close attention to those dreams that seem like they're trying to tell you something. And I know growing up with a mom who always had dreams about different things in the news and premonitions also, I've always heard about people having these sorts of powers to be able to use their dreams to predict things. But do you think that everybody has these kind of powers, or do you
Well,
think that some people are more tuned to these proclivities?
you're talking about psychic powers.
Yes.
And I've talked to enough psychics on my own podcast that I've come to see that we actually are born with this ability. And what happens to most of us, I mean 99% of us, is that the incidents that happen to us during life take that away from us. We get taught that those feelings are not good feelings to have, whether we're taught by our parents. One of the things that a parent should never say to a child is, it's only a dream. When the child wakes up, especially if it's a scary dream, you never want to say it's only a dream because that dream is there for a reason and it's there to give you information. So a lot of children will have psychic feelings in their dreams and they're told either if it's not from their parents, they get it from school or they get it from their classmates. Don't talk about that. And so we lose that ability. If it's not reinforced, we lose it. And so that's why the few people who didn't get it knocked out of them still have that special ability when they're throughout their lifetime and can sense those things. But getting back to dreams themselves, one thing that's really critical if you're not paying attention to your dreams right now, if you want to start paying attention to your dreams, start writing a dream journal. And what that means is as soon as you get out of bed, write as much about the dream you had as you can. And at first it's hard because dreams lie in our extreme short-term memory. And if we don't write them down right away, we're going to lose them. So one way of remembering the dream is to write it or record it, whatever your technological capabilities are. I'm old school, so I write things down on a pen. Many people just record it to their phone, and that's fine too, as long as you get a record of it. So then you can go back and look at it, and over time, you'll see patterns develop.
Okay.
Read those dreams and see, oh, maybe that's what it's trying to tell me. And that's one way of trying to understand your dreams.
That is so interesting and so important for us to really understand what's going on in our subconscious, I would guess. And I love the tip that you give to parents about not saying it's only a dream. And I can't even tell you how many times I've been woken up in the middle of the night saying, Mommy, I had a bad dream. And I just roll over and say, it wasn't real and it was only a dream. Go back to sleep. And so I've been doing all the wrong things. And so thank you for that.
All of this is knowledge that I learned after my kids were grown. But now with my grandchildren, when I see them, I'll say, did you have a dream last night? And tell me about it.
And I love that you're questioning because it's really interesting and you can help them to understand what they dreamt about. What would you say that the top 3 dream topics are?
Well, because people remember their nightmares more than anything. In fact, the dreams that people mostly remember are nightmares because they are scary and they wake them up and they'll remember them. The dreams of being chased,
Okay.
also dreams of flying, which is also a great dream to have. And I don't know if it's third or not, but certainly fits into what we can talk about are sex dreams.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And I know that whenever I have a sex dream, I always want it to end on a high note, right? And I always seem to wake up right before the climax happens and I get so frustrated. Is that a common thing?
It's very common. Yeah, there's so many different aspects of having sex dreams. We can go into that in detail, but yes, it is. And one thing I could say, and not going to necessarily mean you're going to climax in the daytime, but one thing you could do is to go back into your dream while you're awake. Good, get yourself into a kind of meditative state and think about the dream. And that way you can at least get some closure to the dream itself. Like I said, I'm not going to guarantee the climax, so maybe you'll get some kind of closure to it.
Okay, revisiting the actual information that you were thinking about, that's something that
Yes, yes.
I've never done, and great idea, because I always feel so frustrated afterwards, and I'm like, is it because I'm like repressing my sexuality, or why is it that I can't seem to finish the job in the dream? It's like, and I know that men have wet dreams all the time, and they're able to have an orgasm and ejaculate.
When I my field, like, concentration is on looking at the meaning behind dreams. In a wet dream, men have it, they'll orgasm, but I don't know what their actual dream was. Circumstances were they with a fantasy partner? Were they with their regular partner? Were they with who knows who they were with? So, yeah, I can't really go into that to give you any insights on what the dream might have meant other than that. But I think the statistic is something like 70% of us have had sex dreams of one sort or another. Yeah, they're very common.
Very common, yes. And sexually frustrating for me right now. But I hope to one day have one where I actually have an orgasm in my dream and I wake up super happy. So someday
Well,
it will happen. Maybe I have more growth to do on this side of the dream world.
one thing that might help you is to learn how to lucid dream.
Let's talk about that.
I say learn. Some people have lucid dreams naturally. In fact, when I first started my coaching practice, one of the first people I met said, "Oh, I've got lucid dreams all the time." And I'm like, "You do?" And I was shocked because I had not had a lucid dream at that point, and I didn't know that you could just throw them up on demand. And the truth is, it's a bit more complicated than that. You can learn how to do it. I would turn your attention to a book such as Llewellyn's Complete Guide to Lucid Dreaming, which really breaks down in much greater detail than I ever could exactly how you can teach yourself how to lucid dream. But getting to the point, let's say you already know how to lucid dream, you could put yourself into a dream and or program it and say, I want to have sex with my dream lover, for example. And in the lucid dream, since you've got some control over it, you could guide it. You can guide yourself into having an orgasm in the dream.
Okay, so lucid dream meaning that you're still awake. No,
But a
explain to
lucid
me what exactly a lucid.
dream is a dream that you have while you're sleeping. You're in
Okay.
a sleep state, but while you have the dream, you are aware that you're dreaming.
Okay, yes. Okay.
So, because a lot of times when you're having a dream, you're in the dream and things are events. Maybe you're observing what's going on in the dream, or maybe you're the person in the dream. All dreams are very different that way, but you don't really necessarily know that you're dreaming until you start to wake up. You say, "Oh, I had a dream," and there it is. While you're in the lucid state, you're dreaming. So
Yes.
there's a bit of direction you can take in the dream while you're having it. But you can say, "Guide me to my dream lover," and something will appear. Maybe the dream lover is something that surprises you. And it's, oh, what's that about? That's another thing you can learn about yourself from doing that. But you can put yourself in experiences that maybe you're a little reluctant to do with a partner in your waking life, but you can use the lucid state to practice it, to get more comfortable. Let's say it's a position that you're unfamiliar with or you haven't really liked. You try it in the lucid dream and maybe you learn to like it, or maybe you say, "Oh, for sure, I hate this and I'm never going to want to do," whatever it is.
Right,
You're,
right.
you're learning something in that. Uh, or you get to try it with different people. If you're heterosexual, maybe you try it with someone of your opposite sex or the same sex. And So you get to experiment with things in your dream state that you might not feel comfortable doing in your regular awake state. So that's some of the fun things you could do while you
That's
do it.
incredible that you can actually guide your dream, right? And when you're journaling about different dreams and what dreams you've had, do you have a running list of ideas of what you want the next what you want to happen, or what scenario you want to create the next time you have a lucid dream? Because I would think that's what I would be writing about. I would like to explore this. I would like to explore that.
One of the great things about dreams is that they are so individual. So if that's what you want to do, absolutely go for it. I use my dreams in a different way. I use them to get creative ideas.
Okay.
So I might there's a process called dream incubation. So some people call it dream programming, where before you go to sleep, you tell your dreaming mind, tonight I want to have a dream about X, whatever X may be. And so a lot of times if I'm thinking about what do I want to write about next, and I may ask the dream state to help me with some advice. And sometimes I'll get, oh, here's an idea to come up with. Or sometimes I might get, oh, here's some phrases that came to mind that I may not have thought of in the waking life. You want to write it down, and that could lead to something. Sometimes I'll have even more detailed ideas. But when you're able to guide yourself to help yourself decide what you want to dream on, you can go there. When we're talking about lucid dreaming, I don't consider myself an active lucid dreamer because for me, it does take work. And sometimes I don't want to take that work. I just want to dream.
Work enough during the day, right? You don't want to work all night too.
Until when you get very comfortable with that state. Like I said, some people, it comes to them easier and they have a lot more fun with it. But that's like what I consider the wonderful thing about dreams is that they are so attuned to our individual state. If you want to have a lucid dream and learn how to do it, you can go there. If you want to have dreams for creativity, you can go there. Some people use dreams to get health advice. Some people use dreams. What I help people in coaching, what I help people do is use dreams for problem solving. So if you have an issue going on with your life, the dream could help give you insight to what's going on and at least either define the situation better for you or maybe even come up with a solution that works.
That's amazing. And I love the idea of guiding those dreams and writing down what you are experiencing. And then before actually falling asleep, creating a mindset about what you want to dream about so that you can help yourself in some way, shape, or form in your actual life. And that is just so cool and something that I've never really explored at all. So I'll be thinking about that tonight before I fall asleep.
Yes,
I'm curious.
yes, I was just say another thing to
Yeah.
do to a couple of things to do to really help that process.
Yes. Yes.
One is to do a little journaling on it before you go to bed, so you're very clear about what you want, and then come up with a one-word line of what it is to make it very succinct. Write that down and put that under your pillow. It just helps the process.
I love those tips that you gave about journaling before going to bed and really trying to create an intention around the dream that you want to create for yourself. So that is a very good tip. And I'm going to give that a try. Everyone should keep a journal by their bed. They really should. Or, like you said, a recorder, one of those like little, everybody's phone has a voice recorder that you can just record your voice. It's a great idea because when I wake up, I'm so groggy that I don't even think I could write as soon as I woke up, but I could certainly talk. So that is a really good tip too.
And even if you don't remember a dream, think about the first thing or write down the first thing you think about when you get up. That you can remember when you're groggy, but when you get in a position to remember it, because that very often gives you an insight into what that dream may have been about.
Just that one thing,
Because
that one feeling.
there's a philosophy that I subscribe to that was coined by one of the great dream workers of the late 20th century, early 21st century, Jeremy Taylor, who said, all dreams reflect our inner creativity and our ability to face and solve life's problems. Even if you don't remember the dream, it's working for you, whether you
Right.
realize it or not. And even you're just in idioms. How many times have you heard the expression sleep on it?
Mm-hmm.
I came from the days when people were more open about remembering their dreams or using their dreams. Say, go to sleep, you'll have a dream about it, and you'll wake up in a different frame of mind.
With maybe with more clarity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are you in menopause, perimenopause, or postmenopause? I have found the absolute best products called Parlor Games. I use the estriol and progesterone topical creams, and they have been game changers. Maybe you've listened to the show and want to be featured as a guest. Eve uses Podmatch to connect with new or potential guests. Reach out and begin the process today.
So let's talk about symbolism in dreams. Can you go into that a little bit?
Sure, absolutely. What would you like to know?
What are some of the common symbolisms in dreams? What sorts of
One of the fun ones is having sex with a celebrity.
Oh, okay.
Always
That's
exciting.
interesting. Yes.
And that can mean one of two things.
Mhm.
One, it could be the obvious. Let's say you have a dream that you're having sex with Ryan Gosling. Maybe it just means that you'd love to have sex with Ryan Gosling in your fantasies. That's it. That's fine.
We all have fantasies about celebrities,
Right.
absolutely.
But if it's a celebrity that either you're not that thrilled about or a celebrity that you don't really think you have much of a connection with, that's when you look behind it and you say things like, "Oh, what does this celebrity mean to me? What characteristics of this celebrity do I think of?" Because there's another phrase that we use in dream work, which is all symbols in dreams reflect an aspect of ourself. So let's say you're having a dream about, let's say you're having a dream about Ryan Gosling and you're not particularly a big fan. You don't care about him one way or the other. What are the qualities of him that you admire or look to? Maybe you'll say, oh, he's handsome. Maybe you'll say, oh, he's a good actor. And you say that those are aspects of you that you can look at. Maybe you're not feeling that great about your looks, and the dream is telling you, no, you are beautiful. Oh, be proud that you're good at what you do. And maybe so the dream is giving you a confidence boost by you're having the sex with a celebrity. It's reminding you of your celebrity qualities. And sometimes we need that reminder, especially when we have a little self doubt going on. Another common dream would be sex with an ex. This too can go in many different directions. Oh, another thing I want to say before I even go into that is one of the critical things to look at when you're looking at dreams is the emotion of the dream, how you feel about it. Getting back to our previous example, we'll talk about it in terms of the ex. If you're having dreams with an ex, it could mean that you're finished with something going on in your current life and it's representing a closure for you. Like, okay, this part's done. Let's go on to the next thing. If you're feeling okay, if your emotions are good about it, then you're feeling good about going from one thing, closing one thing, starting another thing. If your feelings are horrible, then you have some issues around why is this thing ending? Is it really going to be a good thing for me? How do I deal with it? So it gives you some things that you may not be thinking about in your daytime life to think about the ending of this particular thing. Yes. Another thing is a dealing nothing about X is it was about the ending, or it's about things that you're glad to be rid of, things you want to get out of your life that in there.
So the symbolism of maybe having sex with your ex or your ex being in your dream can symbolize you ending something in your life. It doesn't have to be that particular person. It could be something completely
Right, in most
different. But
in most cases, it probably doesn't relate to the person at all. Also mean, again, when we say dreams reflect an aspect of ourself, it may be the X part of you, like what qualities did that person have that reflect on you? And you go into whatever it is, you look at that and you see, how is that affecting me now? And then you journal about it and see what you come up with when you journal and figuring that out. Yeah, another one would be sex with a stranger.
okay.
This could be different things. And another thing I want to emphasize is that even though we're talking generalities here, each dream is specific. It's specific to you.
Mhm.
If you're having sex with a stranger and you like it, maybe it means that you like the mystery, you like the excitement of something that's unknown. And If that's the way you're living your life, then it's a reflection. Yeah, you're going in the right direction. If it's not the way you're living your life, afraid of taking risks, if you're afraid to put yourself out there, this dream may be telling you, just like my dream with the codpiece told me, you need to make this change to break out of the codpiece. That dream might be telling you, no, go ahead, try the unknown, dare, dare to go out of your comfort zone, see what's out there. You might like it.
Absolutely. Yeah, looking at the symbolism in the dreams and seeing how it can help you to move forward in your life and experience different things. I love that. Sexuality is, there's so much to explore. And a lot of times people tamp that, energy in themselves down. And this could be another avenue to really open your mind and to experience more things if you're open to listening to what your mind is trying to tell you.
Yes. For me, it's all about self awareness. The more we are aware of all aspects of ourselves, and particularly how we live our life, the happier we're going to be, the more confidence we're going to have in ourselves because we will believe in what we're doing, and it just goes on from there. More curious we are to see what else is out there and try things. Like I always talk about stepping outside of your comfort zone. You
Hmm.
know, get out of that little area because our brains are designed to keep us safe. They're designed to keep us small and keep us in our little world that we've created for ourselves. And a lot of people are fine with that. They're fine living very, I wouldn't say small because it's a negative thing, but
Right, right.
a life without a lot of variety, of a lot of out of new experiences kind of thing. I know I don't want to live that kind of life. And I don't think you do, and I don't think your listeners do. One way to do this is to pay attention to our dreams because it gets us into opening ourselves to those things that we didn't realize we wanted, but maybe we want, but we're afraid to admit to ourselves that we want. And it gets us out there. And that goes true with sex. There might be some aspects of sex that we haven't been wanting to confront in our waking lives, and our dreams could help us make some sense out of all that as well.
Yeah, it almost like I'm thinking about this and it almost reminds me of a dream board or a vision board, exactly. And putting all of the things that you want for your life in one place. And so it's like in that realm of creating what you want for your life. And then this is another aspect of using the dreams that you're having to really move that vision board forward.
Yes, I think it's almost the same concept in terms of
Right.
your when you're putting together a vision board, you're actually tapping your self-conscious or your subconscious because
Hmm.
you're just putting up what do I you're dealing with fantasy, and fantasy is outside the rational way that most of the time you're living. So you put those things up there hoping that's going to be there. For me, dreams do the same thing, but they do it faster when we pay attention to it because we're dreaming every night.
That's so true. Oh my goodness. That's so true. And it's funny because I hardly ever remember my dreams, but that's because I don't pay any attention to them. If only I did, I probably would be able to use them in positive ways. So it's definitely something that I will definitely be incorporating from now on. I'm curious to know how you think the pandemic changed people's interest in dreams.
Oh, it did in so many ways. And I think for one thing, one of the reasons why it started was because since people weren't getting up to go to work in the morning, they weren't setting their alarm clocks. And very often we may be in a dream and remembering a dream, and then that alarm goes off and it goes out of our head.
Hmm.
We don't remember it. I think without having the alarm clock, a lot more people were remembering their dreams. Number one. Number two, because it was such a scary time, I think
Hmm.
a lot of people had more nightmares than
Hmm.
ever before. And many of those nightmares dealt with the pandemic and people's reaction to it. There are a lot of dreams about bugs being symbolism for bug, a virus, bad thing going on, or having dreams about monsters because, the monsters that came in and changed our lives, or a lot of those were commonalities that a lot of people had in dreams. But because more people were remembering dreams, there was a bit more interest. So There was more being written about dreams in the media. And it also awakened more people to the idea of lucid dreaming. When I first started studying dream work a little more than a dozen years ago, lucid dreaming was like a footnote in everything I was learning, because I think the statistics are, in terms of naturally being able to, I think 3% of people naturally would lucid dream. It was not a main topic of discussion when I was learning about it, but because the pandemic got people so interested in it, all of a sudden you're seeing article after article and YouTube after YouTube on lucid dreaming. And everybody's lucid dreaming, not quite, but it just awakened a lot of people's interest in it.
I think a lot of people can relate to having had a dream where they are in the dream and think to themselves, this is a dream while they're having it. I know that's happens to me not that many times that I can remember, but I do remember having that sensation that I'm dreaming. And most of the time, I just wake myself up. But the idea that you can actually stay in that state and cause a change in that state, that is such a cool thing, cool concept.
The reason why you woke up, the reason why people wake up from lucid dreams, is as soon as you realize that you're in the dream, that shock takes you out of it. So
Right.
one of the things when you're learning how to lucid dream, one of the things is calming yourself down when you get into that state and you realize you're dreaming, to not have that shock, like to have calmed yourself down so that you stay in the dream, and then you can go on from there. But it's very common because you get the surprise. Oh my God, I'm done in the dream and I see what's happening here. It's gone.
What about the dream when you're falling and then right before you hit the ground, you, you know, wake up really quickly? I've had that dream so many times in my life.
Falling dreams are really that they're a pretty common dream too, and they can go in a lot of directions, again, on your individual dream and your emotion about it. Most people see falling dreams as a nightmare because it symbolizes they're out of control, they're going down. It seems very all negative and nothing good's going to come out of it. If you have a positive feeling when you're having a falling dream, it can mean a totally different thing. Falling also represents falling deep into your subconscious, getting deeper into your sleep state, getting deeper into those thoughts that you want to explore. Again, it has different meanings depending on your emotion, depending on the circumstance. And you woke up because that's how you wanted that dream to end. And again, you can do
Yes.
what I said before with a lucid dream. You can do the same thing with a falling dream. It's that the term is actually called dream recrafting.
Okay.
You get back into the dream and you ask yourself, what would I like to happen here? And be very clear in what it is that you would like to happen, and then have the dream flow in that state. And you can, in your conscious mind, end it that way so that it ends up being more empowering than disempowering for you.
I
And
love that.
will
Anything that
have the same effect as the dream if you were having it while you were asleep.
anything that we can use to really empower ourselves, I'm all for. So I'm loving this concept and I'm going to be playing around at night with thinking about my dreams more than I have ever really paid attention to before. So I have one question that I do ask all of my guests. And so I'm curious to know what tools, and we've already talked about journaling by the bedside, right? But what other tools do you bring into the bedroom to make things spicier?
We could talk about the obvious, such as the little toys we have.
Yes, and it doesn't have to be a specific toy, but if that's what you
Oh,
want to talk about, that's
I-
fine.
well, you mentioned a word earlier that I think is also very critical in dreams, and that's intention.
Mm.
What do we want? And when we're clear with our partner what we want, because most people don't communicate, I wouldn't say most, but a lot of people don't communicate
No.
their wants. They just think it's going to happen by osmosis. Oh, this person loves me, therefore she's going to know exactly what to do. No,
Not at all. Not at
no,
all.
Not at all. Be clear in your intentions. What do you want? Do you want a full blast orgasm? Maybe that particular night. No, you just want to be cuddled. You want to feel like safe and secure and
Nurtured.
nurtured. You just want a nice back rub, and you don't need to go all the way. Again, it's whatever it is, but communication's always the root of everything.
I
Communicate.
love that. Yes. Those are two wonderful things to bring into the bedroom, right? Your intention.
It's a two-way, your intention of what you want, and also communicate what you want to do, what you're willing to do, and what your partner wants.
Absolutely. Communication is the number one thing that you should be bringing into the bedroom. And that's one thing that we talk about a lot on this podcast. So thank you for saying that, because that's not something that's come up, but it's something that is so key to having a healthy sex life, is communicating with your partner. I want to make sure that all my listeners can find you out there. So where can they find you?
They can find me at my website, which is thedreamcoach.net. And one thing I offer to everybody who goes on the website is I offer a complimentary dream discovery session. So if you've got that dream that's been nagging you and you can't figure it out, I can help you figure it out. If you want to know why dreams are important and why they should be important to you and how to make them work for you, we could talk about that. There are also a couple of free downloads on the site. One of them is an infographic on how to remember your dreams.
Right.
So it gets you started. You want to remember your dreams, follow this, and I'll get you on the road to remembering your dreams. So go to thedreamcoach.net. I also love to help people directly. So my email is debbie@thedreamcoach.net.
Okay, so reach out to her and get started on your dream journey. And this is a whole nother journey for me. So I'm going to be reaching out myself. And again, Debbie, thank you so much for being on the show today. This was so interesting.
Oh, thank you for having me. I loved it.
Thank you. All right, until next time.
Looking for the best live streaming or podcast recording site? Look no further than StreamYard. Get $10 off your first purchase. For podcast hosting, Buzzsprout is the absolute best option out there. Get $20 off your first purchase. Feel free to call me on the OWL app. Use code EH576472 for $10 free to use on the best networking app around. Give me a call. See all links and info in the show notes.